Welcome back. Week 10, squeezing this in. All-Star game is over. Going to take a break of our own to get back on schedule. Let's get into the news. The Hawks fired Lloyd Pierce, and coaches around the league were very disappointed. A lot of injuries in Atlanta. Not sure it was his fault. Nate McMillan is taking over in the interim. LeBron James got some beef from Zlatan Ibrahimovic, saying him and athletes like him should stick to sports. Classic argument, makes no sense. LeBron said, no you. Jeremy Lin was reportedly called coronavirus in a G League game. Not a lot of Asian representation in American basketball. Disappointing, but not surprising that some Trump logic spread into G League trash talk. The Nuggets set an NBA record, recording only one single turnover in a game against Portland. Absolutely incredible. That's going to take a long time to beat. And finally, my personal favorite center I grew up watching, Joakim Noah, is retiring. So he is our throwback player of the week. Bonus round, Jamal Murray is hilarious. He reacted with equal incredulity to Giannis falling during his free throw and Richard Jefferson chastising him, and it looked a little something like this.
And you just mentioned, look, the Bucks beat them last time. They matched up well. I don't know what's going on there.
Jamal, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't you dare yes sir me ever again. Don't you dare.
What you talking about?
Don't just don't ever let that happen again. Do you understand me, sir?
Who the hell are you talking to?
I am talking to you, young man.
Don't worry, RJ and Jamal Murray are former teammates. In the standings as of March 2nd, Western Conference, Jazz still up at the top. Phoenix is catching up to the LA teams, 8-2 in their last 10. Dallas is 7-3 in their last 10 to get back to 500, maybe starting to put something together. In the Eastern Conference, Philly and Milwaukee are both 500 in their last 10 games, while the Nets are 8-2. Last time we broke down Brooklyn, we worried about their defense, but so far talent is winning out. The Heat righted the ship very quickly, won 5 straight to get back to 500, which in the East is somehow good enough for the 5 seed. Indiana and Atlanta both 3-7 in their last 10. Those would be the only teams I could see bumping Charlotte from that 8 seed. Remember though, play-in tournament means a lot more teams have a chance to get a taste of playoff basketball this season. Starting off our players of the week, we're heading to Oklahoma for the first time to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. OKC is in rebuilding mode right now, sitting on a well of draft picks. The only clear blue chipper they have is SGA. They'll look for a Lou Dort breakdown later this year. After getting shipped over in the Paul George megadeal from the Clippers, Shai got a year to understudy with Chris Paul and is now already one of the steadiest floor generals in the league. 30th in PER, he was not talked about as much as an all-star snub, but if you compare his numbers to someone like Donovan Mitchell, he's actually significantly better in every counting and efficiency stat except points scored. Shai plays a very controlled, take what the defense give you style and is looking at cracking 50, 40, 80 shooting splits this season. His athleticism isn't going to wow you, but he's big and long enough to guard every kind of wing and very crafty on offense. I see him likely being capped as a third option on a true contender, but he's definitely the kind of guy that you want on your team and can fit easily on just about any roster in the league. Second on our list is Kemba Walker, who has been recovering from a knee injury this season. The Boston Celtics have had a disappointing first half, and as mentioned in last week's Blake Griffin segment, they are desperately lacking playmaking. Kemba is a shoot-first point guard, so he's not the perfect solution, but he's still one of the shiftiest players in the league at 30 years old. He's never been a particularly efficient shooter, but this has been his worst shooting season since 2014. His field goal percentage is sitting under 40. Interestingly, his shooting at the rim and from 3 are pretty stable. He's just shooting way worse from the mid-range. Advanced stats see him as exceptionally worse than he was last year for Boston, though still a competent starter. In my view, the Celtics are missing a legitimate big man to help make them a true contender, but if they even want to make the playoffs this year, they need Kemba to be as dynamic as he has been. At a certain point, I think the Celtics need to find a way to get Green Juice a third star and some proper depth, and Kemba doesn't necessarily fit in their championship window. Let's see if they can find a new angle to build from as their stars approach their peak. Next up, in the Bay Area, it's Draymond Green, one of the most unique players in the league. For the first time in his career, he's averaging more rebounds and assists than points, which I can't seem to specifically search, but is a stat line I've never heard of before. His true shooting is 46%, the lowest since his rookie season, but his assist percentage is a career-high 37%, while his usage is at a career-low 12.7, absolutely ridiculous ratio. You'll notice these highlights are also a Kelly Oubre highlight reel, as Draymond had a career-high 19 assists against Charlotte. Kelly got 6 dunks in the first quarter off of Draymond dimes. Never seen anything like that. It generally takes 2 elite skills to survive in the league, and that usually looks like passing and defending, shooting and passing, defending and rebounding. But Draymond is the only non-point guard I've ever seen whose 2 skills were passing and defending. Advanced stats don't like him very much this year, but if you watch the games, his presence greases the wheels on both offense and defense, and it's so frustrating imagining how this team would be unlocked if Clay had been able to stay on the court this year. Quick stop in Charlotte. Malik Monk was drafted 4 years ago. He slowly worked his way up in efficiency numbers. Box plus minus still sees him as a negative asset, but his PR is almost up to par now at 14.4, and recently he's put up some incredible shots in the clutch. He's got a slight frame, but it's hard not to see his potential as a high-level microwave off the bench. He's built perfectly for the two-guard position. Now, he's not putting that athleticism and length together on defense, but he's shooting 44% from three, and he's still only 22 years old. Likely won't start for the Hornets anytime soon. He's only getting 20-odd minutes a game, but definitely a role player to keep an eye on. Watch for him later in our games of the week. Last up, going to take our time with the first ever NBA All-Star born in the 21st century. Gen Z has officially arrived. He's played 58 games in the league. He's already one of the most impactful players in the whole world. There's a lot that stands out about Zion Williamson, the first being his ability to finish at the rim. He's a wrecking ball going to the hoop, but has exceptional body control and soft touch, and is finishing over 62% of his two-point field goals on 15 attempts per game. Only Giannis can match that efficiency. He doesn't really shoot from anywhere else, about half a three per game, but his lateral mobility, freakish second jump, and persistence on the glass make him an absolute freak around the rim. He's also got really nice passing instincts, and this is going to have to be his second high-level skill because, in my opinion, he's never going to be a plus shooter. His assist percentage is a respectable 17.7%, and advanced stats see him as an extremely impactful on offense. He's currently 4th in the league in offensive win shares. Defensively, he is currently average at best, but it looks to be a matter of time before his positioning and awareness catch up to his athletic ability. He's, of course, getting huge highlight blocks, so improved defensive support around him and time should add up to at least an average defender. Lastly, the real concern with Zion is his body. He famously throws himself around much like a young Blake Griffin, the difference being 35 pounds of extra weight and a very strange body type. There's plenty of analysis of this around the web, but it appears Zion is knock-kneed, has a strange hip shape, and potentially an issue with different leg lengths, which is famously what gave Greg Oden problems. Watching his penguin waddle and propensity to run on his heels is often painful to watch. How all of this affects the length of his career is a mystery, but I would bet on him much less than other young superstars because of how much he relies on his athleticism. The Pelicans are currently treating him like their number one option and someone who should have the ball all the time, which makes sense on this roster, but what I want for Zion long term is to be a second or even third option. His game is built to contribute in unique ways, and if he's ever going to be part of a dynasty, I think he needs to be molded more as a Draymond, Rodman, Barkley hybrid, someone who raises the ceiling of your offense by doing things no one else can do. If the Pelicans land one more blue chip scorer, they might be able to build something really special. Heading to our games of the week, on the 22nd, the Wizards took on the Lakers. Missed free throws from LeBron and Westbrook sent the game to overtime, and then Bradley Beal and Westbrook scored all 12 of the Wizards' points, 6 apiece in overtime. Let's see how things ended.
Their final timeout. Westbrook on James. James.
There it is.
And he just got an and one opportunity. It's looking for 5 in a row. Here comes Beal. Beal will step back. Put it up, Beal off, and we're... James, Caldwell-Pope, a 3. One by Caldwell-Pope, it's a 1-point game. They get it to Bertans, now Westbrook has it, and it's gonna be a... Short again, now do you foul? We've talked about it. James will put up a 3. No good. Kuzma's got it for the tie. No, and the Wizards have won.
Close call there at the end, but the Lakers couldn't tie it from downtown. The next day, Boston and Dallas squared off, down 11 points in the final 3 minutes. The Celtics made a furious comeback, and then someone came up characteristically clutch. Let's take a look.
Walker leaves it for Tatum. 3 on the way. 0.6 on the clock. 10 to shoot. 23 seconds to play. Boston up by 1. Doncic, the handles, the fade, it's pure! Put Dallas in front by 2. Brown drives in, tie game! Doncic, down to 3 seconds, 2 seconds, Doncic for the win! Oh yeah! Luka Doncic! The dagger!
Technically not a buzzer beater, but the Celtics didn't get a shot off with 0.1 on the clock, so Luka wins it outright. Kid is 22 years old. Bucks and Pelicans on the 25th, Giannis and Zion showing out with 38 and 34 respectively, really punishing the rim. Showed you some of Zion's work there earlier. Pelicans get a chance to tie on their last possession. Young team.
14.7 remaining. Middleton, and ball's knocked away. It's stolen. Here comes Ball over to Ingram. Hart. They need a 3 right here. Can't find it yet. Final seconds. They throw it out to Bull.
Not very organized. They're not even looking for a 3, really. Hornets Kings on the 28th. Charlotte was down 8 points in the final minute, and then all this happened.
Good job by LaMelo. Final minute. Big shot for Terry. There you go. Here finally hits a triple. Hornets are down by 5.
Yeah.
And the foul free thrower will go to the line. Oh my goodness. Ball down by 5. Rozier. Oh, he got fouled. But he left a whole bunch of time on the clock. PJ. Malik. PJ relocates. Oh, it's been that kind of night. Malik Monk darts inside. Got fouled. Scoring! Home Diddly D. A free throw for the win. That's what I'm talking about. No timeouts remaining. Healed. Yes!
There's our boy Monk coming up big in the clutch as mentioned. Final game of the week, long final minute here between the Celtics and the Wizards. Washington had run off 7 of its last 8, but Jason Tatum had something to say about that. Let's take a look.
Out. Gets it back from Tice. Tatum will go to the hoop, and now you want Beal with the ball in his hands. Wizards up by 3. Into the corner, Westbrook for 3. And this goes over. And now Boston will take a timeout. Tice, Tatum has to go to the hoop. Tatum difficult. Beal has the ball, and he's just waiting now to get fouled. Wow. And Beal, they're going to say, steps on the sideline, turns it over. Pritchard is in. Tatum having trouble getting it in. It's Pritchard with the ball. Back to Tatum. 8 seconds to go. Tatum spins. Tatum puts it up and in. Beal gets the ball. Doubled. Beal has to put the shot up. It's no good.
Plays of the week. Number 5 is a makeup for not putting this in our games of the week. Nice team play for the Thunder in the final possession. Horford finds Lou Dort in the corner for the win. The Canadian defensive specialist sinks the 3 and gets dogpiled. Their team is made up of 90% theoretical draft picks, and somehow the Thunder are still one of the most wholesome teams in the league. Number 4, Chris Paul can do this in his sleep, but it's still worth celebrating. Slick pick and roll behind the back pass. Frank the Tank Kaminsky finishes it off nicely. CP3 just became the all-time assist leader in All-Star Game history. More on that in our next video. Number 3, Edmund Sumner, the 25-year-old, is averaging 5 points in 11 minutes per game this season, but he made this bucket count. Gets the lob from Aaron Holiday and then puts his knees on the back of Alec Burks. That's just mean. At 2, Facundo Campazzo, the Argentinian magician, is becoming a fan favorite. He's a tiny fella, but he's tenacious and he drops dimes like this. Backhanded with the pose in midair, and 22nd pick rookie Zeke Naji finishes it off in the corner. That's some good basketball. Number 1 play of the week, TJ McConnell got a triple-double with points, assists, and steals. This deserves more coverage soon, but a steals triple-double has now happened 11 times in NBA history. This was TJ's best steal of the bunch. The extra effort pestering Colin Sexton, the quick hands and persistence to knock it loose, and the drive to hit the deck and get the ball to a teammate. That's rare and beautiful hustle from TJ McConnell. Bye for now, people. Back on March 22nd. Thanks for tuning in.